And now I'm going to share my screen with you. So that book, let me minimize this. That book is out of print, I believe now, but it was very popular. It was published in the 1990s, and it didn't introduce this idea of the law of total tricks, but it popularized it. And this is the book I have, the original version. You can get a slightly more up-to-date version, but I think it's substantially the same. Let's just wait for that to come up. So it'll either be that black and white one, or there's a new version there, a slightly newer version. Both out of print, but if you want, you can get those books or find similar books that cover the same topic. So that's what we're going to talk about today, the law of total tricks, and we'll start by opening up this slideshow. And this is what it is, okay? It's not really a law, but it's a guideline that in a competitive auction where both sides have a fit, the combined number of trumps should equal the combined number of tricks that can be taken. And I will look at exactly what I mean by that in a moment. But basically it's saying where both sides have a fit, the more trumps there are combined, the more total tricks that can be taken. And I'll demonstrate this in a minute. And as I say, it's not an absolute law. It's not always completely accurate, but it's often a very good guide. So let's have a look at a few situations. And let's look at this one here, where we're playing 4-card majors, normal alcohol. West opens 1 heart. North, with a 5-card spade suit, makes a 1 spade overcall. East bids 2 hearts, that shows 6 to 9 points, and normally 4 hearts or more. And South supports their partner's spades. They can support with only 3 because their partner's overcall should promise a 5-card suit at least. And the question is, how should the auction go after this? Should West bid hearts again? If they do, should North or South bid spades again? Where should the auction stop? And the law of total tricks will help you in situations like this try to decide when to bid on and when to pass. Okay, we'll come back to this hand in a minute. We'll look at it now. Yeah. So before we analyze this hand in terms of how the bidding should go, I'd like you to think about how many tricks each side could actually make. So if West is allowed to play in a heart contract, how many tricks do you think West would be able to make? And then if North is allowed to play in a spade contract, how many spades should North be able to make? This assumes best possible declarer play and best possible defense. So take a minute and see if you can decide on those answers to those 2 questions.
I've got an answer.
What's your answer, Steve?
I think they can both make 2.
I agree.
Both make 8 tricks. Yeah, let's go through it. Let's look at it from West's point of view. And actually, it's easiest to think about your potential losers here. So to count your losers, let's look at it from the point of view of West's hand, but taking into account all the strength in the East hand. And let's go through the suits one at a time. How many spade losers does declarer have?
2.
2. How many heart losers?
None.
None. How many diamond losers?
1.
1. And how many clubs?
2.
It's probably 2, isn't it? I mean, if you play off all the clubs, you might actually potentially lose 3 tricks, depending on how you play it. But then you would probably be able to ruff that last one in dummy. So you're probably just going to lose 2 club tricks on this particular layout. So if you do that, you'll lose 2 spades, 2 clubs and a diamond, and indeed you should be able to make 8 tricks or 2 hearts. Now let's look at it played from the point of view of North. Suppose North is playing in a spade contract. How many tricks can North make? Steve has already volunteered 8 there, or 2 spades. Let's again look at our losers. How many spade losers does North have?
None.
None. Taking into account the strength in dummy, you would not expect to lose any. How many heart losers?
2.
2. How many diamond losers?
2.
Yeah, you're missing the ace and the king. And how many club losers?
1.
1. Do you all agree with that?
Yeah.
It should be 2 hearts, 2 diamonds, and a club. And so they would also be able to make 8 tricks in a heart contract. So the answer to those questions is indeed that both sides can make 8 tricks. And what the law of total tricks says is that the total number of tricks that can be made, which is 16, should be equal to the total number of trumps. Each side here has got an 8-card trump fit, so that's what the law of total tricks says, that the total number of trumps, which is 16, is equal to the total number of tricks. Any questions on that? I know some of you thinking, well, how do we use this information? Well, we'll come on to that in a minute, but that's the basic idea. Let's look at another bidding situation where suppose it's opened 1 diamond, 1 spade, 2 diamonds, 2 spades. Okay, now each side here has got a fit. And again, in this bidding situation, the question is going to be, how should the bidding go after that? Should West bid 3 diamonds? If so, should North or South bid 3 spades, and so on? Yeah. So, again, let's have a look and work out how many tricks each side can make. So take a minute and see if you can work out how many tricks you would expect West to be able to make in a diamond contract, and how many tricks you would expect North to be able to make in a spade contract. When you have an answer, let us know, or maybe wait a minute and then let us know.
Well, I've got an answer.
You again, Steve.
But I don't necessarily need to answer.
No, let's give people a few more seconds. Okay, what do you think, Steve, or anyone else?
I think they can both make 3 this time.
Yeah, I think it's 9 tricks. Again, let's have a look at it, focusing on our losers. In a diamond contract, how many spades would declare expect to lose?
2.
2. And how many hearts?
2.
2. It should just be hearts. 2, because they can always rough a 4th round if necessary. How many diamonds would they expect to lose?
None.
None. And how many clubs?
None.
None.
No.
So they should start off with just 4 losers and be able to make 9 tricks. And if we then switch to looking at it from the north-south point of view, let's look at the losers there. How many spade losers does Declara have? None. How many heart losers?
1.
1. How many diamond losers?
1.
And how many club losers?
2.
2. So again, they have 4 losers, and they should be able to make 9 tricks. So if we fill that in, each side can make 9 tricks. And here again, each side actually has 9 trump. East-West have got a 9-card diamond fit, and North-South have got a 9-card spade fit. And again, on this hand, this is an example where the law of total tricks is correct. The total number of combined trumps is equal to the total number of combined tricks. Now, the law of total tricks doesn't actually say which side can make the tricks. Let's imagine we swap the king of spades for the jack of spades. So that's how it was. But if we swap the king of spades for the jack of spades, how does that affect things? Well, now I hope you can see that East-West can make one more trick. Okay? East-West will be able to make one more trick. So instead of making 9 tricks, they'll be able to make 10 tricks. But likewise, in a spade contract, North-South will make one fewer tricks, only 8 tricks. But the law of total tricks is still correct. The total number of trumps is 18, and the total number of tricks is also 18. So it doesn't say which side can make the tricks, but if you move a card like this without affecting the number of trumps, you may give one trick to one side in one contract, but you take it away from the other side. Okay? Do you all follow that?
Yeah.
So how does that help us in our bidding? Well, if you look at the book I mentioned, To Bid or Not to Bid, it's full of tables and charts like this one. So this is a chart for the hand we just looked at just now, where both sides have got a 9-card fit in their trump suit, and it's comparing the scores for different situations where we might decide to play in 3 spades, or we might let them play in 3 diamonds. And you can see that if both sides can make 9 tricks, we would get 140 in this situation, or they would get 110. Or if we were to go down 1, then the penalty score for that would be 50 or 100, depending on the vulnerability. But in that case, if the law of total tricks is correct, then they could make 10 tricks in diamonds and score 130. And in fact, you can fill in the rest of this table for different numbers of tricks. And what you find is that in this particular chart, we always do better to outbid the opponents. If they bid 3 diamonds, we always do better to bid 3 spades. In fact, I've marked in bold the scores where we do better to play it in 3 diamonds rather than letting them play, to play it in 3 spades rather than letting them play in 3 diamonds. The only one exception to that is if we are vulnerable and go down by 2 tricks or more, in this chart here, we would have a penalty of 200, and that's the only one that's worse than letting them make 3 diamonds plus 2 tricks. Okay, so if you look at, you can devise these charts for yourself, or the book has got dozens of them for different numbers of total tricks and different numbers of trumps. But the conclusions that come out of it are basically that the more trumps you have, the more you should be willing to outbid the opponents. So here, for example, this was the second hand we looked at, where we started off 1 diamond, 1 spade, 2 diamonds, 2 spades. Here, when it comes back to West, West has opened a diamond which only promised 4 cards, but because they actually have a 5th card, and they therefore suspect that they have a 9-card fit, they should be willing to bid 3 diamonds on this hand. Now, how would it go after that? Well, North already showed a 5-card spade suit with their overcall, so they, as far as they know, they've only got an 8-card fit in spades. So if North and East pass, it comes back to South. But South, because their partner has overcalled promising a 5-card suit, they suspect that they have at least a 9-card trump fit, so they should be more willing to bid 3 spades in this auction. Okay? So that really is an example of the conclusions that come out of the...
Tony,
Yep.
Can you just go back one slide?
Yep.
Yeah. If I was West there, I'd be thinking, right, they're in 3 spades. They're going to make 3 spades, I think. So should I bid 4 diamonds as a sacrifice bid, thinking I might go 1 off?
Yeah. Well, that would work if they were going to make 3 spades, but it would be a bad decision if they're going to go down in 3 spades.
And also a bad decision if they double.
Yeah, if they double as well. So the law of total tricks basically says that the more trumps you have, and if you think you have at least a 9-card fit you should be willing to compete to the 3 level. However, if the bidding is sort of sounding very like both sides have a very good fit, then maybe you should be able to bid a bit more. But if you don't have a 9-card fit, so let's look at the first example I looked at. So suppose you open this one where you're bidding hearts, and it goes 1 spade, 2 hearts, 2 spades. Here, West only has 4 trump. So as far as he knows, there's only an 8-card fit. Now, as we said, it's actually both sides can make 2 spades, 2 hearts or 2 spades. So if West does pass, and East gets to decide to bid, then they have to decide whether to outbid them. And the next slide shows a chart for this situation where each side has got 8 trump. So this is saying if there are 16 total tricks available, are we better off to let them play in 3 hearts if they bid 3 hearts, or should we bid 3 spades? And this chart is quite different from the other one, because most of our best scores are letting them play in 3 hearts. In other words, if we go back to this, if West does bid 3 hearts here, the law of total tricks is saying that North-South should let them play there, should not outbid them. And that's simply because there are fewer trumps around. So these scores in bold are the best scores for us when we're thinking about playing in 3 hearts. And we actually, when we're thinking about letting them either play in 3 hearts or outbidding them by bidding 3 spades. And the book contains a number of charts and conclusions, but fortunately, the main ones are pretty simple to summarize. So in this example here, going back to that hand, if West does bid, if West passes, and let's suppose East bids 3 hearts, the best thing for South to do on this hand is to let them play there, because they will go down 1, whereas you would go down if you bid 3 spades. So,
Tony?
yeah.
Can I mention something?
Yeah.
I once went to a lecture by a very good player, and what he said is, if your partner has overcalled and you take him for 5, and you add the number of cards you have in his suit, that is the level that you should go to.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So that's what we've done here. South here has only got 3 spades. Assuming their partner has a 5-card suit, you only have 8 trump, so you should not bid 3 spades. If either North or South had an extra spade, so they thought they had a 9-card fit, then it would be right to bid 3 spades. So the main conclusions are of all the analysis is, firstly, if both cards have an 8-card trump fit, you should not let the opponents play at the 2 level. So that is this situation here. East here has got a decision about whether to let the opponents play in 2 spades, and it's nearly always right not to let them play in 2 spades. What's going to happen on this particular layout is that if you bid 3 hearts, you'll go down 1, you suspect, but that will be better than letting the opponents make 2 spades. Okay? So don't let the opponents play at the 2 level. It's something we talked about in a lot of times in bridge, if you think both sides have a fit. However, if both sides just have an 8-card trump fit, you should not outbid the opponents at the 3 level. In other words, if they bid, for example, 3 diamonds, and it looks like you only have an 8-card trump fit, you should not outbid them by bidding 3 spades. Generally speaking, if you suspect there are 17 or 18 combined trumps, it's generally right, however, to outbid the opponent. So if you think, if the bidding makes it sound like there are 17 or 18 trumps, then you should outbid the opponents at the 3 level. And the more freak distribution there is, you should consider bidding more. And one other important one is if both sides have got a good fit in a major, it's generally right not to let the opponents play in 4 hearts. Outbid them if you've got a spade fit. Even if you go down 1, it may do better than letting the opponents play 4 hearts. And as Francis just said, this is the main rule, which is, if you only remember one thing from this talk, generally you should try to compete to the level equal to the combined number of trumps held by your side. So if you think you've got a 9-card fit, bid to the 3 level. If you think you've got a 10-card fit, bid to the 4 level to outbid the opponents. But don't, under any circumstances, let them settle at the 2 level. So it's always worth outbidding them, even if you only have an 8-card fit and they're about to play in 2 spades. It's worth outbidding them to bid, say, for example, 3 diamonds or whatever your suit is.
Tony, the first 2 seem to contradict each other. The one says you should not let them play at the 2 level, and the next one says you should not outbid them at the 3 level.
Yeah. So that is to say.
Okay. So
yeah.
Only if they go to 3, you shouldn't outbid them.
Yeah, that's right.
But if they settle at the 2, you should.
You should outbid them. You should bid at the 3 level.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So in other words, it's saying with the 8-card fit, where let's say both sides can make. One side can make 2 hearts, one card can make 2 spades. If they bid 2 spades, you should not let them play there. You should bid 3 hearts, even if it's going down 1. But if they bid 3 hearts against your 2 spades, you should not bid 3 spades.
Okay, then I understand.
Unless you think you have a 9-card trump fit. Okay, so it is slightly complicated. That the general idea is to bid to the level of your trumps, but don't ever let the opponents play at the 2 level if you think both sides have got a fit.
Tony,
Yes.
the problem comes if it's not hearts and spades. If they're bidding spades and you've got a heart fit, then it's more difficult, isn't it?
Well, I mean, the same thing applies. I mean, if they bid 2 spades, you should always bid 3 hearts.
Okay.
But if they bid then 3 spades, then you shouldn't really go on unless you think you've got a 10-card fit.
Yeah.
Okay. And this talks about competitive bidding situations. So it doesn't really apply if it's just you and your partner bidding. Then you should just use the normal method of evaluation of your hands or using the losing trick count. Okay, but this is the law of total tricks, and this is for competitive bidding situations only. Okay, so that's the idea of it. Interestingly, if you look at the results on the Hinnerbridge website, and I think I mentioned this the other day, they actually always show this analysis for any of the hands. So let's just wait for this to come up. And we'll just take as an example, look at one of the hands from earlier this week. And if we click on the travelers for this, we'll look at one of the boards where there was the possibility of a competitive auction. This board 7 I want to look at. Find that. Okay.
Only one of the problems is BBO always has freak distribution.
Well, that's an interesting observation. Yeah.
Not when Tony sets the hands, though.
Well, they are. Let's look at one of the hands from earlier in the week, and this is board 7, and I hope you can see this is possibly one of the hands you had in mind, where both sides have a good fit. North-south have got to fit in spades, and east-west have got to fit in clubs. And you can have a look at this or any hand if you click on the Play It Again link here. And here, you may not have noticed this, it actually shows this for every single hand where both sides have some kind of fit. And it shows this, the law of total tricks. So this is an example of the law of total tricks being correct. And what it's saying is that the number of trumps, combined trumps, is 20 here. In other words, North-South have got a 10-card fit in spades, and East-West have got a 10-card fit in clubs. So the total number of trumps is 20. And what's the total number of tricks that can be made? Well, it's got it here in the bottom right-hand corner. It's saying that East-West can make 5 clubs, which is 11 tricks. North-South can make 3 spades, which is 9 tricks. So the total number of tricks that can be made is 20. And it's saying that, therefore, the law of total tricks shows a difference of 0 there, which means on this hand, the law of total tricks is correct. So how would that help you in the bidding? Well, it depends how it goes, of course. But if, for example, East at one point is able to show with an overcall or some other kind of bid that they have, say, a 5-card club fit, now West should realise that with a 10-card club fit, they should be very willing to outbid the opponents and not let them settle in a spade contract. I mean, equally, North-South, if they realise they have a 10-card spade fit, then they would do well to compete at least to the level of their combined trump, at least to the level of 4 spades on this hand. So you can actually look at this on any hand that you've played, and the Bridgeweb's software will show you this. And you can actually, what you'll see is that on many hands it's either accurate or it's off by 1 sometimes, or sometimes it's worse than that. But it's a very good guideline, and it's the basic idea: the better your trump fit, the more aggressively you should be willing to bid. But do bear in mind the vulnerability, especially if you're going for a part score, and especially if you think you might go down by 2 tricks, or if you think they might double you, of course. Okay, there are chapters in the book on that kind of thing and dealing with doubled contracts as well, but the basic idea still applies. Okay. Anyone have any comments? Yes.
Tony, I'm sorry, but why should the one only go up to the 4 level and the other one can go up to the 5 level? Because they've each got the same number of trumps, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, this is saying that if there's a competitive auction, that East-West,
yes,
knowing that there's a 10-card fit, would be okay to compete to the 4 level.
Okay.
Okay. In other words, let's suppose that North-South bid this hand and they bid 3 spades.
Yes.
But East-West determines that they've got a 10-card trump fit, then they should be willing to bid 4 clubs.
Okay.
Likewise, if North-South determine that there's a 10-card trump fit and they bid 4 clubs, then North-South should be willing to bid 4 spades.
Okay, and then, but why doesn't the clubs go to 5 clubs?
Yes. Well, I mean, on this particular hand, that would be the right thing to do, because you'd make 4 clubs. Equally, you'd make 5 clubs. The law of total tricks doesn't really take you that far, but it at least tells you that you're at least okay to compete to the level of your combined trumps. Yes, if you think the opponents are going to make 4 spades, which in fact they're not on this hand, then it would be right to bid 5 clubs.
Yeah. It seems to me that if your partner has overcalled, you are in a better position to judge how many trumps you have between you.
Yes.
If somebody opens, you're not quite sure what your partner's got.
Yes, that's right. An overcall should promise a 5-card suit, whereas an opening bid doesn't promise a 5-card suit. There are other bids that will come up too, like a weak 2 promising a 6-card suit. Yes. Even if you don't have that many points, but if you have 4 or more trumps, you should definitely be thinking about raising to the 4 level, because even if the bidding hasn't been competitive yet, you expect it to be. If you follow me, if you were to pass 2 spades, they're almost certainly going to come in with some bids there. But if you think you have a 10-card trump fit or better, you should be willing to compete to that level of your combined trumps.
Thank you.
Anyway, it's not foolproof, but nearly everyone uses something like this, and I think we all bid like this instinctively to some extent. That the more trumps we have, the more we're willing to outbid the opponents. Any other comments or questions on that?
I've got one.
Yes.
I like a good double, I do.
Yes.
So if you feel that the opponents have bid beyond their level of fit or beyond their total number of trumps, do you think it's a good idea to double? Because I do, but not everyone does. I mean, sometimes you can get badly stung, but...
Yes, of course. I agree. I think I agree with both aspects of what you've said. That it's a good idea to double, especially if you think you push them higher than they should be, and you will get stung occasionally. And unfortunately, it's often against weaker opponents who sometimes, don't bid aggressively as they should do, and then you keep bidding and they push them up, and then you double them, and that's frustrating. But that will happen to you, and if that never happens to you, you're probably not doubling enough.
About redoubling.
Well, redouble only happens really rarely, doesn't it? I have seen some hands being redoubled, but it's generally not worth redoubling, especially in pairs scoring, because if you make a double contract, you're going to get a very good result anyway, and it probably won't affect your score too much to redouble it. And obviously, the penalty for going down one redoubled is a lot worse. So I don't think you should be thinking about redoubling very often. Okay. Any other comments or questions? So that's the idea of it. I will just say something funny about the book. When it was originally written by Larry Cohen, he sent it out to some bridge experts with the title of, with his proposed title of "To Bid or Not to Bid" for their review. And one very famous bridge player just sent it back, crossing out "or not to bid." In other words, he was saying that in competitive bidding is a good option normally. It puts pressure on the opponents, and sometimes you'll bid maybe more than you should, but you'll push them even one level higher. So it can work out to be better to be a bit more aggressive in the auction. Okay. Anyway, that's it for today. We've got some competitive hands in the some of the hands coming up, and of course they will come up by accident as well. So if there are no more questions, I'll end my talk there. I'll put this on YouTube later so you can look at it afterwards. And we're on Real Bridge today, so if anyone has any trouble logging in, I've opened up the session, and you can join in any time now onwards. All right. So see you all later.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you, Tom.